Hey guys, here we are today with the 71-inch Skyraider for ESM models. I was contacted by Tomas at VQ Warbirds. You know, I do the cockpit kits for most of a lot of the ESM planes, but he was looking for an ordnance package for the outboard wing ordnance package for the 71-inch Skyraider, and we come up with a couple different things. He found one that he wanted to go with the camouflage version, which is coming out pretty soon. So we're going with two different ones. We're going with this one here. I will, in a moment, we'll go through making all the parts for this. This dropped anti-personnel ordnance, and they were filled little tiny bomblets, and they would drop out the back. These were rocket launchers, but they had a dome, an aerodynamic dome on the front that would fall off before the rockets would launch. And there's another small one here in the middle. But we went with that one. I also made, take these off, I also made standoffs. On the old gray or Skyraider, it didn't have the wing was not fully sheeted out here, so the new one is fully sheeted, so these can be glued on. But anyway, the standoffs are made out of resin. They are hollow, so they'll be a little bit lighter, but they fit on the contour of the wing. But there's 6 of them on each side. The other ordnance we're going to make is the small rockets. These are considered like the 5-inch rockets. There were 6 of them on each side. There would have been 6 of them on each side. So going to have the different ordnance package of the just the rockets. This will be a lot less drag, a lot lighter than the others. But anyway, it'll be up to you whether you make the ordnance permanent, or if you want to make it where you can remove it for flight. I don't have one of these planes myself, and so I don't know as particularly how, you know, if they can handle all the drag or not. But anyway, we're going to go through building all this. As far as the Skyraider goes, I made these so they have a little bit of the contour of the wing on them. They can go technically, as far as the plane goes, they actually went straight along the taper here. So they would actually, instead of tapering back with the wing, they went straight across here. And what you may have to do on the outboard ones here to keep that straight, you may have to sand off a little bit to make it conform a little bit. Because I tried, so this will be a cheaper package. I made one that you could technically put it along the cord there and it'll fit all the way down. But if you really want to be technical and move it in a straight line, then you will have to sand just a little bit to make it conform better. As far as gluing them on, like the big ordnance that glues on, you're actually gluing it directly to the sheeting. You glue it directly to the sheeting. Here, that'll be up to you whether you cut the sheeting a little bit to secure this down, or just glue it directly on top of the covering. But anyway, let me get my stuff together, and we'll go over how to put together each part of the ordnance, and when it comes time, you can decide which package will work best for you. Okay guys, here we are. We're going to make the first piece of ordnance. There's going to be 6 of these made. Make sure I'm in the shot here. 6 of these made. I looked it up to see if there was a name of it, and of course I couldn't find one unless the crews gave it a slang name. It's a SUU-14A/A, whatever that means. But anyway, so I've got everything laid here that we're going to need to make this piece of ordnance. Okay, so what we got to do first is we're going to use for our centerpiece a 5/16 inch dowel rod. Now, what I haven't decided yet is if I'm going to include this in the kit or not, because I buy these just like y'all would. You can get them at Home Depot, Hobby Lobby, Lowe's. Sometimes they have them at Walmart. Anyway, the problem with this is after looking at about 30 pieces of wood, I only found 4 or 5 that were straight. So for me to get enough for a kit, I would be going to 4 or 5 different stores. So I'm still trying to decide. I'm going to talk to Tomas, see what he wants to do. But anyway, you need a 5/16 inch dowel. This is 9 inches long. So you'll need at least two 36 inch long dowels to get enough to do this. So anyway, you need 5/16 inch dowel marked at cut at 9 inches. Then I looked into, when I was doing this, as far as making the piece, as trying to find some plastic tubes, and I looked and looked, and I found the ones made out of styrene, but they wanted like $2 or $3 a piece. So they just make this kit just outrageous, because they only come in 12-inch lengths, and these are 9, so you're going to end up cutting them, and you're going to have a crazy amount of money into this thing. So I looked around, and I finally found a 5/16 inch straw, and able to get those pretty reasonable, and that allows you to make this at a decent price. So the first thing you're going to do is, we've got this marked and cut at 9. We're going to take and mark every one of the straws at 9 inches. But the first thing you need to do is, if you look, these straws are cut by a machine, so they're kind of wavy on the end. So the very first thing you do, you need to mark it and cut one end on every one of them. Just cut it straight, and it'll make it nice and straight across there. And then from there, you're going to come in here, hold it up to the other, and mark. Let's see if we can see, and mark each end. So I've got all these cut but 2. So I'm just going to come in here on the line, come down easy on that line, and just make a straight cut. All right, just come down through here, easy, and make a straight cut. All right, you got all these at the same length. So you got excuse me, I got too many out here. You need 5 straws and 1 dowel. So I got 1 extra cut. So the next thing you need to do is take these straws, and I haven't done it yet, but I'm getting ready to. You take these, because they are the plastic straws, and I'm using CA, is you need to take this and take some just regular 220 grit paper, and it's not going to hurt. You just need to sand them. This will even help the paint stick later. Just sand the outside of them all the way around, okay? So we're going to sand all those all the way down, and just barely rough them up so the glue will hold. So let me go get that done, and then we'll be back and continue. Okay, we got all the pieces sanded. Next thing we'll do is going to take a piece of tape. You want to use, this is 2 inch or 1 3/4 painter's tape, but you might want to use masking tape. Anyway, I'll take it on there and lay it out and bend it over so it lays flat on the table. And so what we're going to do now is take and make sure that these straws line up with the end. So we're going to start with these 2 here. Now we'll get these, and the reason I put the tape there is to hold them in place, because the straws, this main one is going to kind of keep everything straight. They may have just a tad of a bend to them. So we're going to put these together. We're going to take our CA glue. We're just going to glue these together real quick. I'm just going to glue that. Hit that with a little kicker for the CA. We'll let that set up just a second. And then we'll continue around and put our next one in. Just, if it does have a little bit of a bow, find out where it is and just push it down into place. You don't want to bend it, deform the straw. You just want to get it down in there and allow it to be straight off of that main piece. Okay, you want to get all those in there. Now, one other thing you can do is, I'm doing this one kind of fast just for the video. You may want to take your time and let them dry in between. Now, try not to use kicker when I don't have to, so it kind of gives you a stronger bond. Is once you get those together, is take a rubber band just really lightly. You don't want to do it to where it'll crush them. Just really lightly band those together and just let them sit until they're totally dry. If you can keep from doing the kicker on the CA, it'll make that bond stronger. So we're going to do that. We're going to let those set up for a little bit, and then we'll come back and finish these out. Okay, here we are back. I took the rubber bands off. It's nice. It looks like it's holding pretty well. You really do need to sand those. The very first ones I did, I didn't sand, and they didn't hold very well. But this is holding pretty good with the CA. The next thing we have is the end cover. It comes in two pieces. It's a piece of cast resin. It just fits over the end. We're going to end up putting CA or epoxy, either one over that, and we just glue that in. You just want to make sure it's straight, or you can just hold it in place until it sets up. Okay. This is 13/16. It's supposed to be 13/16 inch thick. I actually pour these a little bit deeper and sand them to here. So you just want to check that measurement and mark it from the back edge 13/16 and make sure it's nice and straight across there. There's also a small piece. The real one, like I said, they don't go into real good description of what it was, but there was a piece on the end. That is a separate piece. Any of this stuff you may have to sand and clean up a little bit, but that is glued right dead in the middle of this. Okay, so what you're going to do, one other thing, there is a little dot. There's a little dot on this that goes to the top where the piece of the piece of hardwood or the dowel is. Okay, you glue this on, and then come back and glue that little dot right there in the middle. Okay, so that gives you primarily this thing all set up. Was those two pieces glued on there. All right, what we're going to do next is I'll glue this in just a minute. What we're going to do next is you got this wrap that was on the real one. Now these were cut a little short. I was just experimenting with them, but going back and looking at the drawings, what I'm going to do is, it was probably a piece of steel that was wrapped and then made, or aluminum, whatever they used, and to keep this cluster together. So what I'm doing is including some 20 thousandths styrene, and what you're going to do is take that, and you need to look at your wing, how it's going to fit on the pylon, and right dead in the center of where that's going to fit on the pylon, you're going to take this and you're going to glue it. Well, first of all, you need to start there and wrap this and just get you a test fit and see how much you need, and kind of mark it just a tad long. All right, so we're going to cut that. You notice we are a little bit long. So now one thing I did, and this is because the straws are pliable, what I did was I took another piece of 5/16 inch dowel, and I made me this. It just looks just like the piece we made, but it's smaller. And what we're going to do is we're going to use that to kind of pre-shape this piece. So you can see where that wraps around there. We're going to take it and we're going to kind of just crimp it a little bit. Not a full crimp on it, just a little bit. So we start there, come to the next one, figure out where it's at, and we're just going to barely crimp it. That gets that circle or that curvature in that built into that a little bit. So then we're going to come around here and work on our third one. Come around and just figure out where it is and barely crimp it. So that gives us a little bit of pre-shape all the way around. So then we're going to come back, figure out where we need it centered, and you're going to glue this piece here, the first one on, and then start wrapping it. And you can see how long I cut that. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of a little bit of length because you don't want to see it out the side. So we're going to cut back a little bit further. Now let's just go ahead and glue this one on here. That way we can. Now I'm not going to say this one's in the dead right spot. We're just trying to show you how it's done. Come around here. And those just pulls it around. And you see how I'm just coming right back over the top of itself. You don't want to be too tight to where it crimps this. Now, after we get this glued, you see a little bit of play here. You can come back and run just a drop of CA under each end and pull that in and glue that to that. So what we're going to do is go ahead and run us a bead of CA down through here. And we'll pull this over and glue that in place. All right. Then, like I said, you can come back. Hope you can see it. This stands off from the sides just a little. That's a better shot there. Stands off from the side. You just put a drop of CA underneath, and we're going to just pull that down and hold it until it sets. Now you could kick that and it'll. But I'm doing this really fast. You're gonna have to do it. See, it's gonna take a second for it to hold. All right. Well, you just gonna have to fiddle with it. You need to take it and put it on there and hold it for a minute or so to let it get set. Anyway, once you're done with that, that's when you got your end on. I just primed and painted this. This is actually just a primer. It was they were kind of a. Some of them were silver, some of them were kind of an olive drab color. But then you got to figure out how you're going to mount this. You can either mount it permanently, or you can like put some small dowels and drill this, and so you can take this on and off. So that's your choice how to mount it to this piece here. So that's decisions you need to make. Plan ahead. Figure out what you want on there. So that is how that piece goes together. It goes together pretty quickly. You have 6 of them to make. So that's why you need to just get all your materials together and just follow my directions there. Okay, the next thing we're going to move along to is a rocket pod. The real one was the end of it came off, and there was rockets back here. They had like 5 and 7, and I think they had, I forgot how many total rockets they could fit in different size pods. But anyway, so all we're doing here, this one's the easiest of them all. You're gonna have a tube pre-cut. All you got to do is glue the top on. You'll have a piece of resin bottom. Glue the bottom on. Just glue those in, and then you can prime it. If you want to, you can get rid of these lines by putting filler in it, and then repaint it. I painted the whole thing this olive drab color, and then after I painted it, you come back from the back side. You come up 4 3/4 inches. See that? 4 3/4 inches back, and I put a piece of taper in there and painted the end white. Because usually, whatever this color here is, the end of it was a white cone. I don't know if it was what it was made of, fiberglass, plastic, or whatever they had. But anyway, that popped off, and then the rockets were there. So that is a very easy piece to put on. And then let me go get the parts. There's another really small rocket pod, because these were larger, that fit in between them. Let me get the parts for that. I'll show you how it goes together exactly the same way as this one. It's just a little bit smaller. I'll get the parts. I'll be right back. Okay, here's that small rocket pod I was talking about. On the wing itself, there was the 2 large ones, and if they couldn't fit a 3rd large one, so there was a small one in between. So this piece of tube, it'll be supplied, cut to the correct length. You have an end cap, and then you have the dome that goes in the other end, and that's all it is to it. I have already taken one, put it together, painted it, and it'll look just like that. And that would, I'll show you pictures of it mounted in a minute, but it was just mounted in between the 2 large ones. I guess it was a smaller, so it could fit in that location. Anyway, that is all of that set of ordnance. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you exactly how we do the rockets. They're really easy. Doesn't take but a few minutes, but I'm going to go over the measurements and everything, and we'll make, I've got to make 3 more of these to fit on the wing. So we'll get that done here in just a minute, and let me get all my materials together. Okay, I have all my parts here. What we're going to do now is make the small 5-inch rockets. They're really easy to make. What I did was, to get the size, I took a picture online. I blew it up to the full size in what was said between right at 8th, between 8th and 9th scale. So I went out and found the parts we needed. We're using it's right at a 1/2-inch tube. I've got to make 3 more real quick. I'm going to show you how I do that. It has a nose cone. That's easy enough. It's going to come with pre-cut. This is 1/2-inch wide styrene. Now I have a little cutter here. This thing works pretty good, but it's a 1/2-inch wide by 7/8 inches long. So I just put that in there and just cut it. And so I'm cutting enough here. Like I said, it's a 1/2-inch wide. It comes the width pre-cut that way, but you got to cut it the length, which is 7/8 of an inch. So we're just cutting those. And your kit will also come with a little, it's a little marker. It'll mark where your fins go. All you do is, now I come in from this is a 6-inch tube. I come in from the end 1/8 of an inch, slide this little piece on, I hold it in place, I go ahead and mark this. This is where the end of our fins will go. Kind of gives us a place to stop. And then I come on the other side and it's got 4 different slots, and I mark all 4 of those. So we'll get our spacing right. And you can see there's 4 marks all the way around. So then I take a piece of, now they sell rulers for this stuff. I just found a piece of L bracket here. And I just take that, move it over to the each one of those lines. Just make a line. Okay, you see I got 4 lines on there. Now we're going to do that. This, I hope you saw that. I'm trying to make sure I got on there. But after you mark all the lines, you're going to end up having 12 of these, 12 rocket tubes, 12 nose cones, and you got to cut all your own fins for this. I do have the correct width of styrene. But then all I do, let me move this down a little bit. All I do is take a piece of scrap. Let's see here. Where did I lay the CA? Okay, all I do is take my CA and I put a line. I usually use a scrap piece of wood. Put a line on there on the on whatever your scrap is, and I take the fin and I just touch it one time, just right down into that CA, and then we'll come down here and just put it in place, right on the line that we made. Now, if you put just barely in CA, it'll hold as soon as you stick it on there, and you let that dry. What we're going to do is do all 4. I just dab it right down in there and stick it in place. Now you want to look at it from the bottom to kind of try to make sure you get them 90 degrees to each other. Oh, I'm sorry, got it out of view, but I'm still putting on fins. I'll get back in here. We're just kind of hard to get into the camera while doing this. But anyway, now what you want to do is just look down from the top, kind of make sure they're all square. Now make sure they're all square. Now I've got 3 more to do, so all I do is set this, or 2 more to do, set this off to the side, and we'll let that dry. And then you come back later and take a real fine tip on your CA and just hit each one of those corners there to make sure the ribs don't, or the fins don't come off. The other end's just really easy. All you do is taking this nose cone and you glue it. You just stick it on and glue it in place. Okay, so that's more or less how you make the rocket. The rocket's real simple. And then this one will be easier, a lot lighter on the airplane, a lot more aerodynamic than the big set that I'm making. And you could probably glue this on and just leave these on the plane all the time. It probably wouldn't hurt anything. But that'll glue right directly onto the hard point. Or you can, like I said before, drill 2 holes and maybe put your 2 dowels in there to hold it in place while you're on the ground, and when you get ready to take off, you just pull them off if that's what you choose to do. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of these rockets made real quick. What I do is once I get them made, I'd go ahead and paint them white all over, and then it looked like in the documentation area, like the tip was painted, the point was painted black. So let me get these finished up. We'll come back, show you a couple of pictures of what it looks like all together, and we'll go from there. Okay guys, here we are with both sets of ordnances finished. Here's the first one. I'll show you how it looks on the wing itself. You got the 3 the small munitions drop cylinder containers, and then you have the 3 different rockets setups, the 2 larger ones and the smaller one in here. There will be, so you got a whole set of these for each wing on that. I did want to go over real quick that pull these off. I've just got these temporarily taped on. Alright, I want to tell you about the spacing. These I come off the now on the camouflage wing, it's going to be sheeted all the way out. So the sheeting stops right here on a rib, and then it's going to be open bay in this one. So if everything's going correctly, you'll come in just inside this open bay here and start gluing. And these are 1.5 inches apart all the way from point to point, coming out that way. All right, so that's just the that's the spacing I have for them. That's the closest I could come up with. So then, as far as the rockets go, I'm gonna see if they'll just sit on here. Let me set the camera back down. Okay, that's not exact. I mean, I've just got them set on there. Now, when you do put these on, you have to make sure the fins are going at an angle, because you can't put a fin straight down or it would hit the hard point as it come off. So anyway, that would be the rockets. Real easy. There would be 6 for each side, so there'd be a total of 12. This will be a neat package to add to your Skyraider. It'll make it look a lot more ominous. If you want, you can buy just the hard points. I'll leave it up to Tomas how he does it, and put those on the wing without any ordnance on it. So anyway, you can choose whichever kit you want. You just have to contact VQ Warbirds and for pricing, and we will hopefully have those kits out here in the next couple weeks. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope it makes your plane look really nice. And if you have any questions, you always contact me through tiesplanes.com, and I should be able to answer most questions you have.